2-2, graphing slope. Find the slope of a line given a graph or 2 points. I'm not going to really worry about this one. I'm not really going to give you a line on a graph and say, please calculate its slope. No. I'm going to probably do this one, which still is a review. You need to know how to do this, so for those of you going on to statistics, upper level math, you need to draw regression lines. You need to know how to do this, okay? Slope is a measure of steepness. Not a big fan of that word. When I drove my camper out west, it said slope of 6%. It said, driving through the mountains, it said slope 6%. You know what that means? Remember, percent is 6 out of 100, right? So every 100 feet, it goes up 6 feet. You don't notice it too much until you try riding a bicycle up that. 6 feet's quite a ways to go. Okay, you won't see the highest roads I've ever seen in the United States are 10%, which is that's pretty good. Okay. Those of you that are going to go on to construction, that's roof angles, pitch of a roof, 712, all that fun stuff. Okay. Slope of lines, you should know that the horizontal line, the slope is 0. We talked about this, didn't we? Well, that's the other class. The vertical line, the slope is undefined. And while you're copying that, I'm going to write some stuff down. Okay, slopes of a line. Again, here's it. Any other line, slope is m. What it means is change in y, change in x. You probably learned that in junior high. We're concerned about this one right here. This is the formula for finding the slope between 2 points. So this is the formula, slope between 2 points. You should know some form of it. You may get it wrong, but you know the y's and the x's are in there somewhere. Those of you moving on to calculus and physics, this is the one they use. It's called delta. Delta y and delta x. That means change in calculus. I got my L's, didn't I? That's why if you go by the Greek campuses, you see a lot of triangles, you know. The Delta House. So, there you go. You'll see them in St. Cloud if you go there. I know they have them. Delta, Phi, Epsilon, whatever. They have all sorts of ones, okay? Yeah. Well, you might learn something anyways. So make sure you know this formula. By the end of today, you'll know it. I would like you to do these 2 problems. There's a formula. I put these in if you don't know x1, y1. Why did I choose these to be x1, y1? They're the first ones. If I'm dyslexic, it still works. You can do x1, y1 here too. Doesn't matter. As long as this is x1, this one has to be y1. You can't switch them around. So my formula, basically, all you really have to do is be careful with the negative signs. -9 minus 3. 2 minus a minus 4. -12 over 6. -2. Okay? The next one. y2 minus y1. x2 minus x1. x1, y1, x2, y2. Again. -1 minus a 6, 2 minus a 4, which is -7 over what? -2. Oh, excuse me. No, negative over negative is positive, and that would be your slope. Now, if you left it at negative over negative, I think at this point in your mathematical journey, I'd probably take a half point off. 9th grade, I won. All right, I have. Oh, look at that! I did the spacing perfectly. 2 more. Okay, at this point now, I'm going to really skip putting down the formula every time. I know it. You should know it by now. So it should be negative 5 minus a minus 1. Careful on the negatives. Negative 4 minus a minus 4. Which becomes what? Negative 4 over 0. Undefined.
I thought it was a positive one.
Okay?
How do you know if it's undefined or 0?
Well, where's the 0 here?
In the bottom?
Bottom. If it's on top, it's 0. Another way to look at it, I always look at to save myself a lot of working. Are these two numbers the same? That's a vertical line. X equals negative 4. Okay. Now, in green, because it has nothing to do with this problem, if it was flipped like this, what would the slope be? 0. This would be 0, okay, horizontal line. This one is vertical. Okay, any troubles on number 4? This one was 1 minus a minus 1, negative 2 minus a 3, which is equal to 2 over. Okay. Now these next two are going to be a little bit more difficult. This is why this is algebra 3. Okay? And I'm going to let you try them first. The formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? And then it equals your slope. So I wrote it this way to help you out. Now we're just going to put in what we know. Well, y2 is negative 1 minus. What's my y1? It's just y. It's what we're looking for. My x is 5 minus 2 is equal to, well, what's my slope? Negative 3. And I'm going to put that over 1 so you see. Okay? All I did is I went from here to there. Okay? Now I'm just going to solve for y. I cannot do anything to the top. 5 minus 2 is 3 equals negative 3. This is a y. Now I multiply both sides by 3 because I want to get rid of this denominator down here. So I'm going to bring it up here. I have negative 1 minus y is equal to negative 9. Because negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Now I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I see where you get your 10 from now. Negative y is equal to negative 8. And now I cannot have a negative variable, so I multiply each side by negative 1. Y is equal to positive 8. Okay. Now there'll definitely be one, probably both of these will be on a quiz this Friday. So I'll do the second one again. We just start off with the formula. This one's a little bit more difficult. We know if we do this formula, we're going to get a slope of 2/5. Now we're going to plug in all our values. y2 is 6. y1 over there is 2. x2 is x minus a minus 3 equals 2/5. Now I'm going to simplify. 6 minus 2 is 4. This becomes x plus 3 equals 2/5. Now there's a couple ways to do this at this point. The easiest way is just to cross multiply. just cross multiply because you have two ratios with an equal in between called proportion, so you can cross multiply. So 2 times x plus 6, remember I have to do this whole thing, I'm just multiplying them, equals 20. Now I'm going to subtract 6, 2x equals 14. I'm going to divide by 2. And x equals 7. And you can check both answers.